She raised her children to look perfect, not be good. People thought she was the perfect mother. Every Sunday matching outfits. Perfect smiles. Front row seats in church. People copied her parenting advice. But years later, her own child stood in front of everyone and said one sentence that destroyed everything. And suddenly, people realized they never actually knew that family. Her name was Grace. If you asked anyone in her community to describe her, they would say the same things. Disciplined, faithful, respectable. Grace never missed church. She organized events, posted inspirational messages online, shared photos with captions about gratitude, family, and raising children the right way. People admired her. Whenever parents struggled, they asked Grace for advice. And every time they looked at her family, they saw perfection. Her husband looked calm. Her son Daniel looked responsible. Her daughter Ruth looked polite and quiet. Nobody noticed that quietness wasn't peace. It was practice. Because inside that house, everything had rules. Not rules about kindness. Not rules about honesty. Rules about appearances. Before leaving the house, Grace inspected everyone. Clothes, hair, expressions, even posture. If someone looked tired, fix it. If someone looked upset, hide it. If someone disagreed, wait until later. Her favorite sentence was simple. What matters most is what people think. At first, it sounded harmless. She believed reputation opened doors. She believed respectable families created opportunities. She told herself she was protecting her children. But slowly, her children learned something else. Daniel learned that approval mattered more than feelings. Ruth learned that silence was safer than honesty. At dinner, nobody talked about difficult things. If Daniel had a bad day, Grace changed the subject. If Ruth cried, Grace reminded her people had bigger problems. If conflict happened, they smiled and moved on. Problems were not solved. They were hidden. And whenever church came, the performance became perfect. Family photos, polite greetings, beautiful captions. People commented, goals. What an amazing mother. Your children are so well raised. Grace smiled every time. But she never noticed something. Her children stopped telling her the truth. Years passed. Daniel became successful. Excellent grades. Good job. Good reputation. But people noticed something strange. He never seemed excited. He always looked careful, like he was being evaluated. Meanwhile, Ruth became quieter. She followed instructions. Never complained. Never argued. Never caused problems. Grace proudly told people, "My daughter is so mature." But Ruth wasn't mature. She was exhausted. She had learned to edit herself before speaking. She stopped saying when she was hurt. Stopped asking for help. Stopped expressing disappointment. Because disappointment looked ungrateful. And mistakes looked embarrassing. Then one day, their church announced a family appreciation event. Children would publicly honor their parents. Grace was excited. She prepared for weeks. She bought coordinated clothes, planned pictures, imagined the compliments. She quietly expected people to say, "This family is the example." The day arrived. The church was full. Families laughed. People took photos. One by one, children stood and thanked their parents. Then they called Ruth. Grace smiled. She adjusted her outfit. Ruth walked calmly to the stage. Everyone expected something emotional. Ruth held the microphone. She looked at her mother. Then she smiled softly and said, "My mother taught me many things." People nodded. Grace smiled wider. Then Ruth continued, "She taught us how to look perfect." The room stayed quiet, but not how to be honest. Something changed immediately. People stopped smiling. Ruth continued calmly, "No angef, no tears, just truth." She taught us to avoid embarrassment. She taught us to perform happiness. She taught us that mistakes were failures. And eventually, she paused. We became afraid to be ourselves. The room became completely silent. Ruth looked at her mother and said, "I know you wanted people to respect us. But sometimes I wished you wanted to know us instead." Nobody moved. Grace sat frozen. For years, she had defended every decision. But suddenly, she remembered the retaken family photos, the forced smiles, the ignored conversations, the times she corrected emotions instead of listening. And for the first time, she realized something painful. Her children had obeyed her, but they had stopped trusting her. The event ended quietly. People didn't gossip. Nobody confronted her. But the image she protected for years no longer felt real. That night, there were no photos, no inspirational post, no perfect family caption. Weeks later, people noticed something unusual. Grace stopped posting polished family pictures. Then one day, she shared a simple photo. No matching clothes. No perfect setup. Just her family sitting together. And one sentence. We are learning to choose honesty over appearances. Some people judged. Some understood. But for the first time, it felt real. Because respect built on performance is fragile. But trust built on truth can grow again. Children do not need parents who appear perfect. They need parents who make room for truth. Because reputation may impress people, but character is what remains when nobody is watching. What do you think matters more? Raising children who make you look successful, or raising children who know how to be truthful and kind?